Hi guys, so today I want to go over plank pose because it's one of the postures that we use almost all the time in every vinyasa class. So because it's used so often, I also see very often people injuring themselves with their wrist issues, with their shoulder problems. So I want to give a few cues, not just on the physical alignments, but also on the energetic alignments that you want to try to observe whenever you are finding yourself in plank pose. So to begin, we're going to actually start looking at how you hold energy at your core. So we all know that plank pose is really good at strengthening our core, but because of this, I also notice that so many people are doing that rock hard ab movement that actually is really restricting. So instead, I want you to try to imagine as if you're suctioning energy upward from the low belly or from the pelvic floor. So you're going to slightly engage from the pelvic floor and almost feel as if you're trying to suction it upward, so it's a little bit lighter than those rock hard abs hold. So that's number one, and you'll notice that that'll help you tremendously because instead of allowing the hips to eventually cave in because you feel so exhausted, you're suctioning the energy up so you stay in a nice straight line. So then the other thing that I want you to imagine is to give your body length. Try to imagine as if you're lengthening the crown of the head forward, and imagine that you're trying to really press those heels back behind you. So that'll give your entire body that nice long space and line. The other thing I want you to imagine is feel as if you have energy entering through the palms, going up towards your heart. So a lot of the time we get really stuck and we get frustrated that we see ourselves holding the posture, dying for a teacher to stop holding the posture. So instead, try to imagine as if you have energy entering through your palms, reaching the heart space. And then lastly, feel super expansive in the heart space. So the physical alignment is that we want the wrists directly under the shoulders, but even that, you don't want to collapse into your chest. You really want to stay open and broad all throughout your chest, and then that way you're not injuring a shoulder. So that instead of looking something like this with your scapula sticking out, with your hips dipping down towards the earth, you're now coming into a nice straight line. You feel the energy moving through the crown of the head. You feel the energy moving back with your heels. You feel the low belly engagement so that you're not letting the belly dip and then hurts too much in the low back. And then lastly, you're going to go ahead and imagine as if you have energy entering through your palms so that you feel a little bit lighter. So now the physical alignments, other than having your shoulders directly over your wrists, everyone's a little bit different. So I've heard so many teachers be so adamant that you have to press down under the knuckles of your palms and that you have to really spread out all your 10 fingers as much as possible. But really, every body is completely different. So what works for me might not work for you. For example, for me, I really like to suction cup my hands when I'm in plank because I had wrist surgery. So everyone is slightly different. And I want you guys to become empowered to realize that you are your own teacher. We're just here to guide you, find your own teacher. So that being said, when you're in your plank pose, start by spreading out all 10 fingers instead of kind of closing them like this. You want to spread out all 10 fingers. And once you have that, see what happens when you put weight on the padding under the knuckles. See what happens when you bring your thumb in a little bit. See what happens when you bring in your thumb both out and in. Just kind of play with all of the different movements on your wrist and see what's best for you. Because like I said, not every body is the same. So play with it, see how it feels for you. The other thing that you want to do is, like I was mentioning earlier, not letting your chest dip towards the earth and instead spread out. So you're not actually going to physically move your palms away from being under your shoulders, but you do want to make sure that instead of letting there be a big dip in between the shoulder blades, you want to make sure that that space right there is nice and flat and that you're spreading it out as much as possible. So you're starting to feel energy moving outward and you're starting to feel like your back is nice and flat. You're also going to try to feel as if you're pressing your palms down without actually moving them. That way you start to engage more of the shoulder blades sliding down the spine. Lower belly is engaged. So now you're neutralizing the back instead of putting too much weight on your low back dipping towards the earth. So to recap, make sure that instead of only looking at the physical alignment and listening to your teacher yell at you, only do it this way. Play with it, see what feels best for you, but do make sure that you have your shoulders right over your wrists. Please also make sure that you're trying to lengthen your body as much as possible. So don't let your head dip towards the earth, really lengthen the crown of the head away from the heels, and then everything else is really up to you. So try it out, see how it works, and let me know how it feels. And just leave me a message if you have any other questions, if you think that I missed something, or if it still feels a little bit funny for you, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you guys, let me know how it works out. Namaste.